Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, July 3rd, 2015. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The legal fraternity here and the Human Rights Association are mourning the death of a stalwart. After a period of illness, Nicole Sylvester, mother of two, passed away at her home in Kettles yesterday afternoon. Her colleague and close friend Kay Bacchus told SVG-TV News that after going through major surgery, Sylvester was doing well and she was stunned by the news of her death. Bacchus said when she visited Sylvester the day before her passing, her mind was sharp with total collection and that she even took a photo with her colleague who was in good spirit. According to Bacchus, she spoke with Sylvester that morning and she was doing well, even expressing anticipation to return to her practice in September for the new law term.
And Nicole was her usual self. She was giving God praise because the operation was a very serious one, but she was saying how successful it was and how it is just the grace of God that brought her through, and she was so grateful. We were talking about when she's going to come back out to work. She was deciding to come back out to work for the new law term, which would have been in September. We spoke other things, other personal things, and and so forth. And she did express the plans to go for some further checks, but she said she was doing pretty well. Everything was okay. So when I heard the news yesterday afternoon around 4:30, around 4:35, I did not believe it.
Bacchus says she is comforted that Sylvester deepened her faith in God and says her two teenage sons will be looked after.
The nation has lost a stalwart lawyer, a woman's activist, a social activist, a woman of strong strength and character and faith, because she had recently switched from the Methodist Church to become a Roman Catholic, and she was really involved in the Roman Catholic Church in all of its facets. In fact, when she came back here, she went to church, she attended church, last week or the week before. So she would somehow had become, she was always a woman of faith, but in the last year or so, Nicole had become deeply spiritual. And I know she is with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I know she's in a better place. And she can rest assured her friends will look after her children. Rest in peace, my dear sister. You are loved.
Sylvester had an illustrious career serving at the bar. She was the past president of the OECS Bar Association and the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Bar Association. She was called to the bar in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Eastern Caribbean State Supreme Court, in 1991 and was the managing senior partner of the Caribbean International Law Firm. And Public Relations Officer and Training Officer of the SVG Human Rights Association, Jeannie Oliver, describes Sylvester as a true activist for human rights. In remembering the late president, Oliver says Sylvester was one who you can depend on.
We have been part and parcel of Amnesty International and Human Rights International, particularly when we are dealing with international issues. She has been a live wire. She has been a true activist. An issue only had to come to us at the organization, and you call her immediately, and regardless of where she was, she may be in court, and we'll send a text, and as soon as she gets out, she will call and say, this is what we're going to do. She and I would discuss this, what she's going to do. She was a very proactive woman.
Oliver says Sylvester was fearless and instituted a pro bono system whereby lawyers worked on behalf of the people through the Human Rights Association.
She is one, maybe, of 5 persons that we can count on one hand in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who would listen to an issue, who would recognize an issue, a human rights issue, and is not afraid to speak on the issue regardless. She had, when it came to the human rights issue, she had no political, no sort of affiliation with anybody came into play. She dealt with it from a human rights perspective. She was a very genuine person, and she looked out for the downtrodden. People who were ignored, people that nobody will bother with, poverty-stricken people were her highlights, were her target.
And Speaker of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS Assembly, and President of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Bar Association, René Batiste, describes the passing of Sylvester as a loss to the law fraternity. Batiste says Sylvester was deeply committed to her profession and to educating others. She highlighted her work in law periodicals and her initiation of the OECS Law Fair, which evolved into a conference.
She's a very dynamic lawyer. She's committed to her causes. She was an excellent practitioner indeed. She contributed as one of the contributing editors to works on the rules of the civil procedure rules of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. She's one of the contributing editors. She has one other publication under her belt, and she had a very extensive civil and criminal law practice in the state. She took over her father's chambers, Mr. R. Sylvester of blessed memory, Queen's Counsel, and she had a very thriving law practice. As far as the profession otherwise is concerned, she was very, how should I say, very committed to this profession, and she became president of the bar, and she was quite assertive in carrying out her duties in that particular regard.
But he says this void in the law fraternity here has been also felt in the region, with condolences pouring in from other fraternities.
She's made her mark, she's made her contribution, which is quite significant here at home and indeed on the regional scene. A void has been left, most definitely. Immediately, it will be felt immediately. And I can tell you that I have now been receiving messages of condolence from not only the leadership of the OECS Bar Association, but as well from individual members and individual bars throughout the region. The last one I received was from my Lord Justice Adrian Saunders, who practiced here at the bar with her. Everyone is shocked at her passing. I wish to extend my personal condolences, and that on behalf of the Bar Association, to her children, members of her family, members of the staff of her chambers, and her very close friends and relatives. Our deepest condolences at this time.
We move on to other news now. We hear that to end the horrible trade of human trafficking, also known as modern-day slavery, Vincentians are being urged to become more informed on the subject to remove all areas of vulnerability in the country, as well as to avoid having a hand in the trade. That's according to Station Sergeant Junior Simmons, attached to the Anti-Trafficking Persons Unit of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. Simmons was speaking at an exhibition held by the RSVG Police Force earlier today, which seeks to educate the public about their safety, especially this carnival and throughout the year. Worldwide human trafficking is the #2 most lucrative criminal trade, second only to the drug trade. Human trafficking is done in many forms, according to Station Sergeant Simmons. Women and children are the most vulnerable to human trafficking, and more has to be done to protect them.
You need to be aware of the crime of human trafficking. Secondly, the traffickers, they are very, very, tricky. They would use all sorts of things to lure their victims. For example, I must say that human trafficking affects man, woman, and child, but it mainly affects women and girls. Because of the world that we live in, so it affects mainly women and girls. Women and girls, they are forced to marry to men. In the case, some of them are forced to marry to very big, older men than themselves. And just to give an example, in 2013, an 8-year-old child in Yemen, a girl child in Yemen, she was forced to marry a man who was 40 years old. That man was 5 times her age. And, they got married, and that man had sexual intercourse with a child, and the child died.
Simmons says human trafficking strips a country of its most valuable assets, which are the family and the workforce. This, he says, in turn damages the economy, causes a breakdown of morals, values, and significantly impacts the future of the country. Therefore, he is urging Vincentians to be proactive, adding that to end human trafficking is to safeguard the well-being of all Vincentians. He is also encouraging Vincentians to report all suspicious cases to the police.
intention on the whole to be aware that human trafficking is a crime that exists globally, and we are doing all that we can, in Simmons and Grindings, the anti-trafficking policy units. We are doing all we can to sensitize the public so that they will know what to do to prevent themselves from becoming victims of human trafficking. And if they know of anyone who may be a victim of trafficking, call us. We are located at the Kittias Police Station, and you can call us at telephone number 4561750 or 4571211, or you can email us at svgantitraffickingunits@gmail.com.
The police are investigating the death of Ekwan Batiste, the 26-year-old laborer of Rosebank, who lost his life during an accident at Arnistville on Thursday, July 2nd, about 11:30 p.m. in the vicinity of Decky's AutoZone and Thomas Wholesale. Reports claim that Batiste, the only occupant of the vehicle, was traveling to Kingston from the Calico route when the vehicle went out of control and crashed into a wall. He died at Milton Cater Memorial Hospital. A post-mortem examination will be carried out on the deceased soon. There have been 8 fatal road accidents for 2015, resulting in 16 deaths. Shanette John, a 23-year-old unemployed woman of Redemption Shaps, was arrested and charged on July 2nd, 2015 with unlawfully and maliciously inflicting grievous bodily harm on an 11-year-old student of Redemption Shaps. John reportedly burned the child on the left side of his back with a hot liquid at Redemption Shaps on Wednesday, July 1st, 2015. She is expected to appear in court soon to answer the charge. Vincentians are urged to be on the alert for persons trying to sell them drugs during their carnival season. According to Officer Orland Wilkinson, the presence of drugs in the country is very common at this time, and warns that selling drugs or being caught with it is a criminal offense. He is urging persons to be wise and not get on the wrong side of the law.
This of this youth transport is better. None at all is because it's very difficult for some people not to use it because they have already been addicted, and the sellers, where they get it from, it's like they come through any form of customs, boat. Yeah.
I noticed you have a lot of cocaine here, right? Is this becoming a problem for you, or is it just like it's still in small numbers? Or would you say that marijuana is more prevalent in St. Vincent than cocaine?
Well, the vice versa, the marijuana is being planted. Cocaine is being imported, but the cocaine is now a higher rate in the country than the marijuana.
Here's a look at some of the drugs that you should look out for.
Here is the liquid form of the cocaine, as you can see. The powder. We have here the crack. This is how the crack is being passed out to be selling singles. This heroin. It's more like yeast. These are the tubes that we use to test them randomly. Cocaine, marijuana. This is how they package the marijuana to be transported. Seedlings. These are what they plant, they used to plant. This is what it becomes when you're selling it. So they pass it out to sell it. So the grinder, we used to grind the marijuana so that you can pass it out. This one is not really new to some people. It's called hashish. It's a chemical product mixed with marijuana.
Also at this time, a number of counterfeit currencies are usually in circulation, and Corporal Mark Billy is encouraging all citizens, particularly vendors and shopkeepers, to be responsible and ensure that they are not tricked into accepting counterfeit currencies. He says everyone needs to acquire the necessary knowledge to protect themselves, and took the opportunity to explain to SVG-TV News the difference between counterfeit and legal tender currencies.
Two lines. You have a solid line, and then you have a broken line. In the broken line, you have ECCB and the note itself, the $5 note. It can't be counterfeit, and it's in silver. They cannot duplicate that. Understand? You also have the queen head. When you look at it on the side, you notice the queen on both sides. They're actually looking at you, and of course, yeah, and the watermark. And you turn it around again, it's the same thing. The queen looking at you in the same direction. So those features. Plus, we'll tell persons it's also written on the side of the note there, ECCB, right? It's written on the side of the money. We also tell persons to sell drinks, because this genuine note is made from cotton and the counterfeit is made from paper. If you are selling your drinks and you are a bit busy, you just wet your hand about the money and you fold it up like this. When you fold it like that, the money will start coming apart. If it is counterfeit, it will start falling apart, start tearing, and it start the ink. And as you will see in the $50 there, the ink, it start inking up, you know, it start running, so, and it start tearing. You know, we wash money all the time and we get it back. Basically, after drying it is good. With a counterfeit note, that will not happen.
Welcome to Carnival Beat. After 6 years, the national Panorama title went to a new steel orchestra at last evening's staging of Steel and Glitter, while the OT Tires SVG Players International was the judge best sections from the bands, having accumulated a total of 539 points. Jamisha Wright was there and has the details in this report.
The Sign Hill Euphonium Steel Orchestra was last evening pushed out of the top spot after 6 years as this country's senior Panorama champions. After the judges' results were tabulated, it was the C Operations Starlift Steel Orchestra that was announced the 2015 Panorama champs. The band, with a total of 70 players, rendered Beckett's Teaser. The Sign Hill Euphonium had to settle for the second spot with their rendition of Rebel's Soca Train. Adjudged third was the Winfresh Scotiabank Southeast Steel Orchestra, who played Winston Soso's I Don't Mind. Meanwhile, in the sections from the band's competition, the OT Tires SVG Players International secured the top spot with their portrayal of Steel and Glitter.
Yo, Digital, tell them don't beat up on the road.
The Guinness Wide Lima Hits 137 Blendy Board in France, Illusion of Grandeur, was adjudged second, while the third place went to the Tribe's Mass Band with its presentation of Fireworks. The 2015 Panorama champs, the Sea Operation Starlift Steel Orchestra, will be representing St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the International Panorama Competition to be held in Trinidad and Tobago on August 9th, 2015. The band's tenor player, Nicole, told SVG-TV News that they are extremely happy that they were able to impress the judges the most.
We are very excited. As you can hear in the background over there, this is something that we have been looking for. We have tried, we have done everything, and we finally done it, and I am excited, they're excited, and next year we're going to blow them away again.
What do you think you did this year that you didn't do last year to etch them out of the top spots?
We matched the judges' criteria. That's what we did. Because our music was good, but we wasn't doing it before apparently, but now we did it and we matched it.
So you say next year you're hoping to secure the top spot?
Yes, we'll be returning, yes.
All right, remind us how many players again you had?
We had about 60.
60, and you did Teaser by Beckett?
Yes.
All right, any final words, anything you want to say to your colleagues tonight?
I just want us to be clean. This is we have done it. Even though we have been winning years and years before, it has took us a while to get back here, and we feel good, and I want everybody just to know that Starlift coming next year and look out.
Reporting for SVG-TV News, I am Jamisha Wright.